Hello, KHM agents, and welcome to KHM Today. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and I am thrilled to be here with all of you today. We began Agent to Agent last March at the beginning of COVID as a way to connect with all of you on the most important topics going on in our industry in that point in time. We loved what we were able to bring to you as an education team, and our goal remains the same for 2021. The format's going to look a little bit different, a little enhanced is the word we're using. So we are still here to provide a sense of community and to motivate you in the new year. Before we get started, I do want to make sure that we say a huge thank you to everyone at KHM. It was all hands on deck getting colors and backgrounds and speakers and everyone together during the holiday season when a lot of people are taking time off and spending it with their families. And so thank you to everyone at KHM for making today possible. Let's go ahead and get started. So every week we are going to start with the latest and greatest news headlines, and who better to bring those to us than Chantel, who keeps us up to date every single day in our Facebook group. So Chantel, welcome. What is going on in the news?
Hello, everybody. I feel like I need to do this like newscasters do. My name is Chantel Nye. I'm in the Department of Education and Program, and I know you probably are all very sick and tired of me posting things on our agent-only Facebook group under announcements, but this is how we can get the latest and greatest news out to you. So I wanted to go over some headlines that I haven't announced over the past couple days. Well, as we all know, and we've seen, unfortunately, Butch Stewart, an industry icon, founder of Sandals Resorts International, did pass away at the age of 79. And our prayers and our thoughts go out to his family and just the whole country of Jamaica, because we know everything that he's done for them. So we just want to give all of our love to his family at this time. The second thing that I would love to talk to you about is Club Med Quebec Charlevoix, opening December of 2021. This is going to be the first Canadian all-inclusive ski resort and four-season mountain property. So it doesn't just mean it's going to be there for the ski season, it's going to be open all year round. I know hopefully we'll have some webinars this year with Club Med to learn a little more about this, but how exciting to have something kind of in our backyard, right? The third highlight that I would like to bring to you, not sure how familiar you all are with Insight Vacations. I, for one, am a huge fan. I used to book them all the time at AAA when I worked there. They are now expanding to South America first time in 21-22, and I am so excited. They are a wonderful top of the line tour company, and they are in the US and Canada and Europe, and now they're expanding to South America, and I am so excited. It just gives us another tour supplier to put in our back pocket. And the last headline I would like to announce is, I don't know how many are familiar with the Brightline, Florida's high-speed rail, but now they are in agreement to build a train station at Disney Springs. So that is something that's going to be coming. They do not have dates scheduled for right now, but this is an agreement that has already been made. So this could be something else just to get your clients to Disney in a faster way.
Chantel, thank you so much for those updates. I know that Butch Stewart will definitely be missed, and those are a lot of interesting expansions and changes for 2021. So each week, our goal is to bring you a couple different segments that focus on the industry and you, the travel advisor. So this week, I would love, I'm so thrilled to welcome Ray Snisky from ALG Vacations Group President. and of course our own Bill Coyle as our industry experts today as we discuss the topic industry trends, specifically booking and travel trends for 2021. So welcome to you both. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Really an honor to be here with all of you, and really appreciate the opportunity. And even before we get kicked off, I just want to send out my heartfelt gratitude for the travel advisor community as a whole, but especially all the folks at KHM who went through an unprecedented experience in 2020. And there were ups and downs throughout the year, but the way we collaborated together really allowed us to save some bookings. You know, as a company, we probably canceled 1 million passengers in 2020, and through some innovative ways with some travel credits and some other bonuses and working closely with folks, we were able to salvage about 35% of those cancellations. So very, very pleased about that, and can't thank you enough. This relationship is extremely important to me and our organization.
Well, thank you so much. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I appreciate having me today. And just, you know, this is just such a great opportunity for us to share some insights with our agents. You know, Ray, when you think about it, the lifeline of our business is our agent community. And it's amazing how resilient they are and they can be, right? It's just, we're just so blessed that they just stick with it and they pull through and they understand the benefit of the industry. And we're just looking for great things to happen in 2021. You know, and I think it's at the time that's right for the agent, you know, for the advisor. What time does that look like? When is it going to hit them? And we just want to make sure that we're here to provide them with a lot of good information. So Ray, thank you for being with us, and Carolyn, thanks again for having me.
Oh, thank you both. So I like to think of myself as a trendsetter. My children would probably say otherwise if you ask them. But what are some of the things that you're seeing already in just the first week of 2021 that has us excited, or maybe a little bit on edge because it's a little bit outside of our comfort zone? What are those trends that we're seeing for booking and travel?
Sure, there's a few that I'll touch on, but you know, the overwhelming theme is really about safety and flexibility. Is ensuring that there's the right protocols in place, that there's the correct knowledge of what the customer is going to experience in particular destinations. And really, this is a renaissance of flexibility that our industry has never had before. You know, it's not often that the airlines create, you know, maximum flexibility. And so you really see an environment where it comes to the most important trend is everyone's need to be adaptable. And so there's been a great adaptability in penalties and change fees and things along those lines. We've waived all of our brand fees as it pertains to changes and so forth. And so, you know, really what we've got to do is build confidence, you know, with the traveling consumer. And so I see a number of trends that kicked off in the summer going into the fall, and things that I really thought were going to level off that just haven't. And one of them, I would say, probably the biggest trend that we're seeing is the close-in booking window. And so when that happened in the summer, obviously we were, you know, it was a very big change in dynamic. The percentage of people that we were getting to book with us so close in was really atypical of our business. But yet I also thought, well, when we get to the fall and people go back to school and so forth, that'll fall off, and it didn't. It fell off maybe for Labor Day weekend, then it came right back. Then I thought, well, the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, no one's going to make any change, you know, no one's going to make plans with this tight of a booking window, or not as many people. And this December just floored me. I mean, we had thousands of people booking on December 23rd and 24th to go someplace for Christmas and New Year. Yes. And that is just something that if you would have told, I've been in this business a long time, if you would have told me that we'd have that kind of time, you know, booking window, I would have told you, you know, that you were being unrealistic. But I think what you're finding is people are looking at the close in and saying, it looks safe from all the information I see, and I want to jump out and take advantage of that. And so what we have been finding too is, you know, one thing that's very interesting is throughout all of 2020, the stock market just really wasn't correlating back to what was happening in the world. It was very positive, going in the right direction. And I almost look at our bookings right now with all the challenges we have from origin markets and states having different protocols and quarantines and all that kind of stuff. I think pent-up demand is winning over some of the fear. And I think that's why it's so important. Big trend is having the right information to build confidence. You know, you've got to be able, you know, all of us on this call are experts in what we do, and our customers got to feel that. And so in this, you know, fast moving world, I really think that, you know, having access to the right information to build confidence with the customer is vital. And I think we saw that quite a bit. I think also travel agent confidence, we've done a number of market research studies. So through September, October, and November, customer split was 75% of people were going to travel sites and travel agents, and 25% were asking friends and family because in the short term, they felt that was a little bit more reliable. That was in September. In October, it moved to 95.5, with 95 going to travel agents and travel sites. And then in November, it's up to 97. So the confidence that's being given to customers by dealing with a travel advisor is continuing to grow. And the risk you get sometimes in this environment, it's never good for our business when times are fantastic or when times are terrible. All of us kind of play in that middle, if it was a football field, we play between the 20s, right? Because when it's really fantastic, rates are moving up, people aren't trying to do as many deals, there's not as much marketing and so on and so forth. And then when it gets really bad, there's a little bit of a free-for-all in our industry where everyone's trying to get the customer, and some of the kind of lines of distribution and collaboration get blurred. And so I'm really anxious to see that continuing to develop, where the travel agent segment is more important than ever. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we talk forward. The other thing is that what people are buying is really a very unique trend. And that is they're buying brands they trust, and they're buying 5-star hotels. And in many cases, they're getting those 5-star hotels at 4-star prices. It hadn't been as price driven as it had been in a normalized time period in our world, where people were saying, I want to go with a brand that I feel confident are going to provide me with the safety protocols, and I can count on not just seeing a video that they've done, but they're really going to do that in action. It's going to be throughout my entire stay. So I think that the 5-star hotels has been an incredible gaining of market share. Really, the isolation of where people are going has never before, obviously, I've ever seen before. Domestically, Vegas was pretty much winning, the market share battle overall. There were certainly clusters of things regionally. When you see people recovering from a crisis like this, it starts off with domestic drive, then goes to domestic fly, then goes to like a regional fly, including like Mexico and the Caribbean. Then it gets to cruise and long haul and so forth. So, but in international market, Cancun has just really dominated the market share. And they're obviously a big part of our business in normal times, but the flexibility of flights, the reopening of hotels, and the amount of choices that were available, the real steadfast dedication towards protocols, and I applaud our entire industry. When you're under this kind of financial duress, to continue to put that kind of investment into protocols and sanitation and all those types of things, I didn't see one evidence of corners being cut. And unfortunately, in this world, that's what happens when the money runs out. Is there starts to be shortcuts and things like that. But between the airlines and the hotels and the experience at the airport, I think they've done a fantastic job. But I think that focus on Cancun, there were weeks where 45 to 50% of our bookings were just the Cancun, which sometimes you don't know if that's fortune or misfortune, right? When some of those hurricanes were barreling towards Cancun, I spent the night up staring at weather channels and praying that they were going to move north or south or whatever the case may be. And then the other trend is really trying to get a real handle on how you're doing, right? Because you have these dramatic dips year over year. So we've done some things. We've subscribed to partnering with some companies that do market share data, companies like Forward Keys and other companies along those lines, to see how are we doing. And I think that really helps quite a bit. We did that and invested in that for Mexico and Cancun and Punta Cana and Dominican Republic, and it really gave us some confidence building because we were really outperforming the market. And so I think things like that are really important trends, is to understand how you're doing and what are you comparing it to. The other, I don't know if it's yet a trend, but one thing I push for our team is anytime a catastrophe like this happens, you got to think differently, because sometimes new opportunities will pop up left and right while this happens. And so my mantra for our team, which I encourage you to think about and consider, is don't race back to be who you were prior to the pandemic. Think a little bit, not in a total sense, but think a little bit about being a startup. If you were going to start up in this environment, what would you do differently? What are some things that you can do to outperform your competition? What are some things you can lean in on that you didn't have to lean in on previously? And so I think that's a trend that I think the successful companies will really embrace that and really look at, we can't race back to doing the exact same things we were doing prior. Collaboratively, we have to be more efficient in our time and how we're investing together. So
Ray,
that's a trend that I think is going to continue.
Ray, if the marketing the company that you're talking about is saying that you're doing something right, that you're going in a direction that's right, if we do what you're doing, are we going in the right direction?
Absolutely. So that's why I think our relationship is so important, and we're so close that, you're an extension of us and we're an extension of you. So, we are seeing the KHM recovery outperform a number of other distributors that we have. And I think we want to continue to look at things a little bit differently, and never, I think sometimes when you go through something like this, there's a natural human tendency for everyone to get a little guarded and get a little protected, and someone trying to make a change to try and take some money away from me, or what the case may be. And it's really not the case. We have the same discussion with airlines and hotels and so forth. But how do we use that collective dollar, whether it be human resource, a technological resource, or actual financial resource, in the most opportune way for us both to be successful? And I think that's where the adapting to change is so important, because if we all look at it as someone's taking something away from us, we'll just get left behind. And the airlines are being super aggressive at trying to get to customers, and I think if we do what we do best and make room for a little bit of innovation, we don't have to fall victim to airlines being more aggressive to get the consumer or hotels, because our value proposition will be very understood by the end customer. So I think that's a really important focal point for all of us.
And isn't it that right now, you mentioned something very important to me and to our agents, is that 5-star hotels at 4 or 3.5-star ratings. I think that that's important, and I think that it's not a sales job for us to do that, right? It's not this idea that says jump on this now or else. It's more like there's a huge value out there. There's a huge benefit out there. I had 2 requests in the last couple of days, one for Cancun and one for Punta Cana. So the young man that ultimately booked Cancun, and I'm working on the one for Punta Cana, one of his biggest concerns was, is the beach going to be wavy or is it going to be quiet? And I'm like, where is this guy coming from? There was not even a discussion about anything else. I definitely convinced him to do the 5-star hotel, right? He had only been staying at Reuse before. And I was like, you got to step it up this time, especially since the value is there. How can we make sure that that happened? And that was his biggest question. So there's trepidation in our mindset as a travel agent to think all the customer is thinking about is a safety factor, but there are other things on their mind, and I think we have to capitalize on those right now and take advantage of some of those good values that are going on out there, as well as listening to what the concerns of the client are.
Yeah, I mean, and first of all, God bless that customer, because that's exactly the kind of customer we all need right now, where they're going to wonder if it's windy or if the waves are crashing and so forth.
It's amazing.
But I think it really that's, I think, the one trend that always remains consistent in this business, regardless of whether it's great times or bad times. And that's know your audience, know your customer, and really adapt your skill set to what that customer is looking for, more so than saying, well, the last 4 customers have thought this way, so I'll just put that same sales pitch on the 5th customer. And I think that's the key, is when we can make a customer feel unique, which is very hard when we're all in a very mass market business, but when we can make them feel unique, that we're listening and we're actually doing what's expected of us, and that's to curate the perfect vacation for them, that's something that becomes very, very difficult to compete against. That's not something that the OTAs can do very well. That's not something when someone's just price driven. And I did see that quite a bit. Yeah, there's great values out there, and I think there's a combination of great things that are happening to help us get through the pandemic. But I did not see customers all trying to book lower end products to try and save money and so forth. So I think that's just an important one, is what we need to just do is continue to have successful travel experiences where people go to the right places, have the right experience, and come back, and that word of mouth helps. And I think it goes to that person, that pent up demand. They don't really want to hear about a bunch of the other stuff. They really want to know the things that are most important to them. And as long as we keep all of our protocols in place, I think we're going to be in good shape, having successful, safe experiences for our customers.
So Carolyn, doesn't that play into the characteristics like we were talking about yesterday of today's travel agent? Mm-hmm. And I think that those are all key phrases to use for the characteristics of our agents today.
Yes, I do want to touch on the brand confidence piece, because I will tell you, over Christmas, I had some clients that I booked in a hotel on their ask that I had never ever booked before. And it had me on pins and needles for weeks, because every time I called the hotel, specifically in Mexico, no one answered. And I couldn't get a response to my email at all.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm a brand fan. I have certain hotels that I always book, and I went outside of my comfort zone and I did this, and I regretted it. because it just had me on pins and needles. I eventually got through to someone, but it was not, it took weeks to get in touch. And then I also wanted to touch base on the schedules thing. And I know we've got so many parents at home right now on the line with us that have kids. And if they're like me, that last minute booking window, we can't book anything in advance. And I had this with clients today for spring break. Colleges are now looking to take away spring breaks. Districts are taking them away. So you've got these parents who think they're going to go away for spring break, and then all of a sudden the district takes away their break. So we have to be so malleable right now, because from day to day, we're getting a different email from the schools saying, you have this time off now, you don't have this time off now, your kid's home for 2 weeks. So it's such a fluid situation, and again, plays into what we need to see as a booking trend, but also how we need to be as a travel advisor. Ray, you brought up something right before we were coming on about vaccines, and that being a trend that we are going to need to see proof of vaccine.
Yeah, let's talk about this monster that's out there.
Yeah, so I think that vaccine scenario, I think, is filled with optimism. There is some clunkiness to how it's being rolled out, which happens when some of those new things happen. What I don't see yet is a trend, and sometimes I see some of my peers sharing that the second half of the year is exploding and record bookings and all that kind of stuff, and with great clarity. I'm seeing good bookings, but we're still seeing the close in being a much bigger part. We have not seen this explosion in the back half of the year. So, to me, I'm just not sure where that's coming from. But I think what that does, to hinge on your comments, Carolyn, about we just need to understand the scenario. And the scenario today is there's maximum flexibility. So, to me, my point would be make that reservation in the second half of the year, the second quarter, whatever the case may be, knowing that you'll have options to be adaptable if the world changes. And those are options that we didn't always have in the past. You had to make sure that you wouldn't be able to get a bunch of alleviation of any change fees, those kinds of things. Because the one thing about all of us, with all this pent up demand, when we do go on a trip, we want to have the trip that we want. And one of the things, we're all in this environment right now, let's just try and sell as much as we can and get whatever business we can. But there are occupancy limits still, in certain destinations. So as hard as it may be to believe, that super popular hotel may be sold out because they may only be at 30% utilization, or they may be at 60% utilization. So I'd encourage folks to get people booked and get them on the books, and then see that we can adapt as that moves closer, and then using travel protection and other those types of tools that are available to add another element of flexibility as well.
That is such a huge point about the availability of the resort. And it's not just the whole resort, it's the room category that they may want. This particular client yesterday wanted that oceanfront room category. It went up $480 between the Christmas week and last week, when this past week when he booked. So they're going to be gone because they're only dealing with a maximum occupancy of 60%. So we've got to take that into consideration and get that locked in.
Yeah, the only thing that, and all, we've all been in this business for a lengthy period of time, the only thing that really changes the booking window is when customers can't get the ideal thing they were looking for, right? And so, we can get lulled into this, well, hey, the new world is close in bookings, and that's true. There's no question. You have to adapt all your processes and all your strategies to make sure that you're adding value to that booking window, which is not a booking window that was the primary booking window for you previously. But then you also got to look at those other really popular destinations, and yeah, there's a bunch of airfares that are super low, but you go to those real popular dates, and those airfares have popped back up. I mean, they're not trying to subsidize and give away free air tickets, right? So there's going to be the pockets of when people want to go that are going to be yield managed as well. So the early bird getting the worm is always appropriate in any environment, and sometimes ironically in an environment like this.
All right, I'm going to go rogue for a second, and Bill's going to roll his eyes and say, no, don't go off the script. But Ray, I got to ask you, because this is something that has bothered me for several months. Cancun, Mexico in general, their protocols that are in place and the expectations upon arrival are very, very clear, right? If we think you're sick or you get sick while you're there, this is what happens to you. Other destinations, and I'm going to pick on the Dominican Republic, when you look at their protocols, as a parent and as an advisor, it freaks me out. When you use words like isolation, facility, random testing, all of that scares me. Now, if I'm going with my husband, not a big deal. But if I'm going with a family, to think of those words and hear those words and not get any clearer understanding of what does isolation mean? Where does it take place? Are you going to take my kid who maybe does a test and it shows, positive upon arrival, and they're 13 years old? Some of these smaller countries are not super clear. And so it makes it very challenging as an advisor to say to a family, you should go here. Have you gotten any inkling, or have these visitors bureaus or health administrators for these islands given you any clear information or defined this more particularly so that we can sell some of these other destinations with more confidence?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that also points to another trend that I didn't touch on, which is certainly much more adult-only travel than family travel during the pandemic, and which is no surprise to anyone on the line. You know what I think, quite honestly, I think the scenario is more about the poor communication than it is the poor operation. And so in Dominican Republic, many of the leading hotels in Dominican Republic are some of the leading hotels in Cancun. So they have identical protocols and identical, scenarios in place. But yet there's a little inconsistency in how it's promoted and how it's shared. And so, I've said this in some other discussions, there's really not a playbook for shutting the world down and bringing it back slowly, right? So different islands responded differently. And I think there has been some, lack of clarity. And so we try to lay over some more clarity on some of those protocols and so forth. Isolation is just, you're working with the hotelier to have that person be quarantined. They're not off in some, stone cell, somewhere being quarantined and things like that.
This is what I envision. This truly is what I envision.
Yeah, and that's exactly the right question to ask, so that we have confidence when we share with the client, because they see those things and see the same thing. So there's also been a lot of erratic protocols being deployed, pulled back, and so forth. And I think the overriding one for a lot of the islands, certainly islands smaller than the Dominican Republic, is they just can't take the chance. They don't have the hospital infrastructure to open up full bore and then be overwhelmed. I mean, who would have ever thought in 2021 the most dangerous county would be Los Angeles County in the United States? I mean, that's just, there's a lot of sadness to that statement, and so even ourselves, we're getting overrun by some of this, by maybe not having the right protocols in place and the right strategies in place. I read a couple days ago where, there was memorandums on, if someone doesn't look like they're going to make it, don't bring them to the hospital, preserve oxygen. I mean, you hear stories like that, you would never dream that they would be said in our country, and so that is sad. So I think there's a lot of, concern about some of those, even internally here, on what's happening and not happening. And so a lot of these hotels, though, have websites that have videos and show what they're doing, and then always lean on companies like ourselves to add some clarity if there's parts of the protocols that aren't understood, or things along those lines, because we have had some tremendous success, sending people to the Dominican Republic with the same kind of safety percentages as we're having in Cancun. I just think the packaging maybe isn't as optimal as it should be.
Good point. Yeah. Good
We've
question,
had several
Carolyn.
agents that go and have had a fabulous time. It just makes me nervous with a family.
Good point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We all feel the same way. I mean, my level of safety and security when I travel by myself versus when I have my children with me and my wife is night and day.
Right.
I ran with the bulls in Pamplona. I wouldn't have taken my children.
So let's ask the tough question about this latest monster that's out there, Ray, about the negative COVID test returning back to the USA. What's your thoughts on it? Where are we going?
Yeah, you know what? We're trying to engage with all the different organizations. There's a lot of discussions happening with the CDC and so forth. To me, we need to do whatever we can to protect safety and security, but it needs to be planned and organized. Just a month and a half ago, the CDC came out with a "Don't travel anywhere" message. Every destination, if you went, they were in this level 4, do not travel. Pretty much the whole world. But what happens then when that changes, media is sometimes not as buttoned up, and they make it a Mexico issue. So all we saw in media and in the trades was Mexico is a danger, but 300 destinations had changed to that new ranking. And so it's just that misinformation. So for us, I think it goes back to the irony that some of the most dangerous places are in our country, but yet we want to put the political blame that all the virus and people that can get sick have to come from other countries, which really isn't the case. I mean, if you look at our track record during this pandemic, it has not been ideal, far less than that. So to me, it's really about trying to understand what are they going to do, and can they give us enough time to come up with the infrastructure? Because today we don't have an infrastructure in many of the destinations that all of us on this call are sending customers to test everyone, get a negative test before they're allowed to even get on the plane. Now, if there's a little more flexibility, both New York and Pennsylvania have had protocols in place in the last couple of months that require you to either have a negative test when you return or quarantine. So that's a much different ballgame. We quite frankly, although I expected to see a big fall off, we did not see a fall off in New York and Pennsylvania with that new protocol in place. I think there's also some questions about the level of enforcement that may happen, but we can't bank on that. We've got to bank on every bit of the policy needs to be adhered to. So we're trying to work to see if they can give us the right plan. Right now there's moratoriums on the number of healthcare companies that can offer a test in many of these countries. So trying to see if we can expand that, bring in new companies that can help to expand that, work with the companies that are there to try and expand that. I think we found our customer will be very resilient, but in essence, you have to have a solution for them. We can't send them to these countries, or we can't enact this when people are in the middle of travel and not have a right solution to be able to get them the ability to meet that criteria. So I think more to come very quickly, but a lot of folks in the industry are working very hard to do this in a manner that's right for our customers and right for our industry.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for your insights on that. 2021 is definitely going to be interesting. At this time, I'd love for the rest of the education team to pop on, turn their cameras on, and join us as we discuss what the 2021 Travel Advisor is going to look like. And I feel like last March, we all had to kind of morph into something that some of us weren't very comfortable with as we dealt with issues that we had never seen before. So what does it look like in 2021 to be a successful travel advisor? And Matt, we're going to start with you. We love this graphic that Des came up with. So your thought is that we need to be nimble.
Yeah, the 2021 agent needs to be nimble. There's a lot of news out there about the vaccination, and it's bringing a lot of hope. But we still have a lot of unanswered questions that we're going to need to navigate. And based on the answers to those questions, we may need to do different things. So we don't know who's going to want to get the vaccine. Will your clients get it? If it's required to travel, when will cruise lines be opening up? What country will be opening up first for those clients that really want to go somewhere? So there's all these unanswered questions still. So I think we need to, flow with the punches and be nimble and be prepared for the unexpected.
Awesome. Virginia, you're up next. And we love this word. I think I love the Friends sketch more, but I love this word.
Yeah, this word just keeps coming up for us. Some examples of pivots might be something as small as really honing in on what you want for your niche. May not require a lot of change, or it may be something that is going from a cruise agent to selling all inclusives. So let's get all the other words that go with this. I had a pivot this week. My pivot was I got a request for an all-inclusive, and that first letter, that P, prepare, I was not prepared. I realized when I went to quote that I did not have all the logins that I needed to do that. So yeah, thank goodness this was just tire kickers. They just wanted an idea of how much something was, but we all need to be prepared. So look over some of these words and see which ones you may need to work with, because I realized I needed to initiate some action. My takeaway this week is it was not comfortable doing this, but you know what? We have to feel the fear and do it anyway.
And we should say, Virginia, that the reason you weren't prepared for that sort of a login is because you typically sell European and river cruises and, sort of higher end
Yes.
tours. So you weren't
Yes.
prepared necessarily. And I know we spoke about the property, and so, you know, using your tools to get the information and to gather the information you needed, at least to get back to the client, was somewhat of your pivot.
Yes, that was a pivot. And another part of that pivot, though, is deciding, do I want to do this? So there's lots of different parts of a pivot for each one of us.
Mm-hmm. And I think as we talked a couple weeks, several weeks ago on an agent to agent, was there were several cruise industry execs that said, yeah, agents, please pivot right now because we want you to stay in business so that you can come back to us when we're ready to sail again. But you know, you have to be comfortable with that as an agent, as an individual. So I love that.
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyways. Des. She on mute.
Okay, we got to be a good communicator, and that probably starts with not being on mute when it's your turn, huh? So being a good communicator really consists of figuring out where your clients like to be communicated to and making sure that you're present in those places. And for most people, that probably means that you need to be present in a couple different places. My saying for the past few months have been, if you're being a quiet business right now, people aren't asking you a lot of things. So if you're going to be quiet through this, you might not get people to talk to you as much. By being a little bit vulnerable and by communicating what you're going through and where your business is now, what you're comfortable with booking and what you know, you're going to be successful in this 2021 time. So communicate in all of those platforms, everything that you're seeing right now.
Well, and I think a lot of people assumed that many of us lost our businesses, right? I was asked that, and it was heartbreaking to sit across the table and say, well, I didn't lose my business. Yes, it's stalled a little bit, but I didn't lose my business. A lot of our clients might not realize right now that we are still in business. So we have to communicate that to them. They might just make assumptions based on what they're hearing in the news. So I love that. Communicate in all different means. Chantel is the truth teller.
I posted on Monday an article by Richard Turin out of Travel Weekly, and it really spoke to me because this is how I've been feeling probably for the past 10 months, that we need to be straight shooters. And as you can tell, I'm shooting an arrow. It does make this
out of a gun,
for me. But we have to educate our clients. It is our responsibility to try to keep up with everything that's going on. The destinations, what are the health and safety protocols going to be, even if your clients get a vaccine? I would not assume that they're free and clear to travel anywhere they want to go. We still have to be on top of every destination that our clients are interested in so we can advise them correctly. And one of the quotes that he has, I'm going to read it here. It is our responsibility to our clients to fight the online glut of ignorance and misinformation about our industry. And isn't that true? Everything you see on the media, it's very scary, but we have to be in front of our clients and we have to give them the truth. So that's going to be my saying all year long. I am a truth teller.
And I have to tell you, Chantel, I truly believe that Richard Turin right now is like the Yoda of the travel industry. He has
Right.
so many wise things to say every week. I just write notes down constantly. He just is really just a great resource. So if you're not reading travel industry news, make sure you start reading it along with travel.state.gov. And we're going to be posting some of these frequently used sites that you guys should be taking advantage of. I'll make that announcement at the end of the show today. So thank you for that.
I just read the Chantel news. That's all that I read is the Chantel news.
It's a recap. It truly is a recap. So if you're not reading any other news, read Chantel's posts.
I love it.
Just go to the announcements at our Facebook page. But yeah, you're right, Carolyn. Just to recap, travel.state.gov always, cdc.org always. The destination tourism sites like gohawaii.com, stlucia.com, Los Cabos Travel. Look for the official tourism sites, and that's where you're going to find all of the COVID information.
Yep, absolutely. Tim, Ray, Bill, do you have any additional characteristics that you believe are going to be necessary to be successful as a travel advisor in this new year?
Well, I have some. Can I talk?
You bet.
Please.
Okay, good. This came from a conversation Bill and I were having. I was talking to a travel agent and she had an older clientele, and she was lamenting that, all the older clientele that she has is not wanting to travel right now. And I said, well, you got to find a new niche, scratch that itch and find a new niche. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you got to, find some younger people. And she's like, well, where would I find them? And I said, oh my gosh, there's so many places that you could go. I said, number one, get out a pencil and paper and start writing some of these things down as you think of them. And I said, a dull pencil is better than the sharpest mind. So this way you don't forget. I said, think about like maybe the Chamber of Commerce. I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting last week, and there was 3 new people that I met. And I've been going to these meetings for 15 years, and there's 3 new people there. And so I got 3 new people that I could talk with, involved in sports or recreation. Maybe you bowl, maybe you do biking, maybe you do boating. Those are all people that you could be talking to that are a lot of times younger people that really aren't afraid to travel right now. Of course, there's always people at your church. I'm involved in 3 different charities, and I'm on the board of directors of some charities. And those are great places to meet people. Those are people that are outgoing and like to travel and like to be involved. And those are places that you can meet people. And of course, there's collectors, stamp collectors, coin collectors, all those types of groups, gun collectors. There's just a million different kinds of people who collect different things, dolls. And those people love to travel also, I find out. And then of course you got Facebook and you got LinkedIn, and you could start your own niche of people if you wanted to. So I'm going to get into this topic a little bit deeper later on this month. I have about a half-hour talk that I'm going to do about scratch that itch and find a new niche. It's going to be next Monday. Monday the 25th of this month at 2 o'clock.
Tim, you're preempting your slide here. We got a whole special slide for you.
I didn't know that. You just said.
Come on, you were at rehearsal yesterday.
All right. Well, throw it up there.
Well, we can't yet. We're not done with this one.
I'll just add in before we transition.
You
if
bet.
That's okay. So to me, I think you've got to look at this world as a front stage, backstage, and you got to fortify your tools front stage and backstage. And so front stage, it's all about confidence. You've got to make that customer confident that, they came to you because you're an expert. They came to you because you know things that they don't know. It's that age-old adage, would you want to have a surgery and do it yourself? Would you want to book your travel and do it yourself? Go to an expert. But it's really important that your backstage is buttoned up so that you can have that confidence building front stage. So absolutely agree with what Chantel shared, but also you got to look at where are you finding. I think sometimes you're creating too much of an avalanche that's unrealistic. You can't know everything anymore. That's the old days, right? Where you could say I sold these 4 or 5 types of products and I knew everything inside and out. These things are changing overnight. So have a solution, look at your process on how you keep yourself confident, informed, and so forth. Because if a customer comes and asks you 5 questions and you've got to ask somebody else those same 5 questions, there's a lot of risk on maintaining those customers moving forward. So there's a quote that I love by Maya Angelou, and she said that after many years, people will rarely remember what you said or what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. You have to make every customer that engages you feel more confident and better that you're a solution to help them get to where they need to be. And so lean in on your preferred partners, lean in on knowing the tools that are out there, and we'll get through this together, very, very well.
That's awesome.
I couldn't agree with Ray more. I think my new motto is going to be speak less, listen more. And it goes right along with what Ray is saying about the idea that says, if we don't know that answer, we're in trouble, right? So we need to know. But one of the things that I'm seeing with our agents is that they're still concentrating on a multitude of resorts. We need to narrow it down to a number of resorts that we feel comfortable with. What are those? How can I keep those in my back pocket? Those are the ones that I'm going to, and I'm sticking with it. This is what I offer you. Client A, client B. This is what I do best. This is why you've come to me. This is what I'm giving to you. Take it or leave it right now, because you can't expand to the point where you're going outside the comfort zone, because you're going to be spinning your wheels for a long time. Stick with the ones that you know, learn some of them and stick with them.
And now's the time to do that, because if you use, look, I'm giving you these because I believe in the safety protocols and what they're doing at that resort. It's the perfect reasoning. No one can fault that reasoning.
Correct.
And know the economics of your business. You know, not many people can withstand a 50% cut in revenue without doing something dramatic and being more efficient or lowering their costs. I've seen many in my career in the tour operator world get intoxicated with revenue and not realize the economics of their business and be upside down very, very quickly. So understand the economics of your business, try to be as efficient as possible, and that'll really help you ride what's still going to be a little bumpy, road for the next 4 to 6 months.
One more that I want to add is creating worst case scenario plans. And I know this sounds just daunting in your head, agents, but I think if you can wrap your head around, what if the client calls me last minute? Where are those numbers that I need? I know we've had a couple of agents where their clients have shown up at the airport and they've got tickets, but they weren't able to check in. Start checking to make sure you've got those ticket numbers. If you've got a ticket number, not a record locator, you got a ticket number, you've got a paid for ticket. So what are you going to do if these things happen? What are you going to do if you've got that destination wedding and mother tests positive 3 days before they're supposed to leave? So when you're booking the travel for these clients, really think about, what am I going to do if this happens? Because those are the protocols for that destination right now. And it sounds absolutely daunting, but even just having that phone number programmed in your phone for during travel, that you don't have to go and scurry for it, will make you feel better. And it's that one last step that you have to remind yourself to do. And you won't be, frantic on Facebook asking what those protocols are. Unfortunately, right now, we have to think through all of these things that could go wrong. So great advice, everyone. Thank you so much. So
Carolyn,
yes,
could I just say one thing?
absolutely.
I think creating a worst case scenario plan, I also do this for my clients before they leave. I don't create an experience where they're scared to go, but as I go over their documents, I will go over if something should happen. This is where we're talking to them about the en route numbers. What if I'm not feeling well? What do I do? Is there a medical facility at the resort? These are conversations you need to have, and it doesn't have to be scary. But again, I would rather give my clients more information than get that phone call from the resort with them frantic. So both worst case scenario plan for you as the agent, and even a plan of action for your clients when they're in destination too.
And all of that is going to make you look like a rock star, right? Which is at the end of the day, what we all need to be to our clients. So thank you, education team. Really appreciate your thoughts and your input on that topic. So you all know there are some really smart people at KHM. So each week we are going to bring you some tips from this amazing team of experts. So to start off 2021 is Tim, the sales animal. And here's your slide, Tim.
Hey, all right. There it is.
There it is. So just a quick recap, we're scratching our itch.
Yeah, everybody's got things that they want to get done this year. They got this itch to get going, and so Bill and I were talking about this, and then maybe they like Virginia said, they got to pivot a little bit. They got to find a new niche. And I was talking with Matt earlier this week, and he's like, oh yeah, niches, like instead of going to England, go to New England, or instead of going to Tuscany, go to Napa Valley. And I really thought that was really good. And then at the end of my talk later on this month, I'm going to also throw in there, don't let the ants eat your brain. And what that is ants are automatic negative thoughts. And I'm going to show you 3 ways to combat, some of the negatives that's being thrown at you.
And
So
your talks are always related to an animal, right?
Right. Yeah, we have all kinds of animals. We started off with rhinos, how to charge like a rhino, dogs that are very inquisitive. And this eagle is because you're a giant eagle and you're flying over the land, looking for new opportunities, looking for new niches.
So, and just a little typo on the slide, guys. It is the 28th is Tim's presentation.
25th.
It is the 25th. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
I thought I had changed it to what was correct, but there we go. So wonderful, the 25th. So please tune in at that time. Thanks,
all right,
Tim.
very good.
And you guys know there is no one better than our own myTravelCRM Jedi. Have you guys could tell that I was recently at Hollywood Studios, all my Star Wars metaphors. Our myTravelCRM Jedi, Des Stack, is going to be bringing you a tip for myTravelCRM to strengthen your skills. And she's on mute again.
You'd think I'd be better at that by now. I'm not used to being on mute. Hey everyone, how are we? So a lot of the questions that I've been getting recently have been about cleaning up your database in myTravelCRM. So it seems like a lot of agents have some New Year's resolutions to start sending out latest waves. Our KHM client newsletter that's in myTravelCRM. And to do so, they want to clean up their client database first, right? Smart thinking. But how do we do that? It's a daunting task, to be honest. It's kind of hard to get through and go through and clean up our CRM. But lucky for you, I made a brand new step-by-step that is in everybody's handout section of the toolbox here in our GoToWebinar. So if you click on GoToWebinar on your toolbox where you normally type in your questions, you'll see a lovely little handout there. It's a PDF that looks just like this on the screen that will help you clean up your database. And it's kind of fun because it says like, don't see a delete box, go to step 2. So it's like a little puzzle, but it's easy and it will help you remove out those duplicate client entries and those duplicate email addresses. I know a way around it, so trust me, follow my directions. And if you're looking for a bonus tip for my overachievers, because I love you guys the most, go through and start asking for some new email addresses this year. As you start talking to maybe some new friends you made over the pandemic, hopefully you guys are online networking and everything else, start asking for those email addresses and add to that database and clean it up. This handout is also on the portal. Sorry, go ahead.
Amazing tip. I love that. And by the way, I'm just pointing to my team to make sure that they are doing this. I printed this for them. But so do you mean when you say get a new email address, are you talking about an additional email address or a new client email address?
I'm asking for new clients' email addresses. So you want to add to your database, start growing the database right now.
Okay. I remember you did that when you started your business. It was absolutely unbelievable how you did that.
It was a disaster. Here's what I did, guys. I messaged 85 people in one night. You want to know how my phone was just going bling, bling, bling
it was blowing
all
up.
night long. But now I have this huge database. It was a disaster. Only do about 5 to 10 people at a time.
Okay.
Seriously, take it from me. But yeah, start adding to that database a little bit. Private message people. Hey, can I have your email address to add you to my newsletter? I've only gotten one no the whole time. So just do it, okay?
Awesome. Thank you. So you guys can expect to hear more tips from marketing and business tips and who else? Virginia's doing behind the scenes and Chantel's with resources and Matt's compass. So that's what we're going to be bringing you throughout the course of the next quarter with KHM Today. So you guys know that every good talk show has a cooking segment or a cocktail segment. And of course, you don't want me to whip out my hibachi grill right now and cook up a dinner for you in 3 minutes, but I'm going to bring you a recipe. So in 2020, I fell in love with this thing called the air fryer. And if you don't have one, I highly suggest you get one. It is life-changing, and I don't take that lightly when you say that a cooking appliance is life-changing. Other things in life should be life-changing, not an air fryer. But I love this thing, and so here is my favorite recipe for you guys to try this week. The best air fryer, whole chicken. There's the link. It will also be in the portal for you guys to try. You don't have to have an air fryer to use the recipe, but please cook that chicken longer than the recipe says, because you will end up with salmonella if you do not have an air fryer and use those cooking instructions. So
We love
enjoy
ours.
that. I can't wait to hear whether or not you guys try it and if you like it. Team, if you guys want to pop up again, Ray, we are so thankful to have you as our first guest on KHM today. And I know you brought a giveaway today. Would you like to share with everyone what it is? Do you remember what it is?
I do. And first of all, thank you for having me. It was you're a very, very important relationship of ours, and anything I can do to ever be of any support or help to you is always welcomed on our side, for sure. And so we are going to give away a 3-night stay to any AM resort that we have. And we hope that you enjoy that. And if need be, we can help you with add-ons or other parts of the trip, or whatever the case may be. So really excited about that. We got some fantastic resorts that we'd love to host you.
Wonderful.
Now, is this 3 nights, Carolyn, is for the panelists, right?
Yes, exactly. So there's just 10 of us to choose from. So pick a number
Okay,
between
very
1
good.
and 10. Just kidding.
I love it.
Pick a number between 1 and 129. Chantel, I believe that's how many are on live with us today.
Before we finish, Ray, it would be remiss if I did not thank you for your awesome reps of your company, Lisa and Cindy and Jim. What a blessing they've been to us. We cannot thank you enough for them, all of them. We've worked so diligently with Ben and everyone else. Thank you so much for everything that you and they have done for us throughout this year. And we just look forward to moving into 2021 together with them as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And anytime you can, the way to get to my heart is recognize our team. So I really appreciate that very much. And there's that old saying, be around people that are smarter than yourself. So I'm doing that fantastically. And I'm glad to have all those folks on the team. So glad that it's working great.
And I want to thank you for the agency program trip that we had in October that Cindy led. She was absolutely amazing. And the fact that we were able to get 25 or 28, what do we have, Chantel? 28 of us down there. It was just an amazing trip to be together. And we can't thank you enough for partnering with us to make that happen.
You got it. And I think that lends a lot of credibility when people see you there in those places. I think it really lends, firsthand credibility. And, a lot of the agent segment has gotten down there. And I think that's been a big help for other coverage.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So Chantel, 129, is that how many are live?
Actually, we have 140.
Wow.
130. I'm sorry, 130.
130.
Plus
All
us.
right. So Ray, do you mind picking a number between 1 and 130?
I would love to. And to me, sometimes the only number that really matters is number 1. So I'm going to pick number 1.
Oh my gosh. Who is that?
Who's number 1 on our list?
First agent.
Hold on.
Probably got to scroll all the way to the top through 130 agent names.
I know.
Thank you guys for all being here with us today. 100.
Are you doing this, Des?
No, you're doing it. I can't see it.
Okay.
I'm just
I
talking.
see Abigail Mancera.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Woo! All right, Abigail, so we'll be reaching out to you to get your prize to you. So thanks for joining us today. Ray, again, thank you for being here. It's been really wonderful. KHM today is being recorded. So if you missed a part of it, you'll be able to access it in the recorded webinar library. A copy of the recording is also being sent to everyone that registered. Des figured out a really cool thing for us to do with all the handouts today, including her myTravelCRM handout and a copy of Virginia's pivot diagram will be available to you if you go into the agent portal where you registered for the webinar. There will be a link there for you to print or download those documents. What we'd love to see you all do is come up with your own pivot and post those on Facebook using the hashtag KHM today, and share with us, what is your pivot? What has been your pivot for 2021, or what will be your pivot for 2021? So we hope you'll participate in that little homework exercise. Chantel, you have been monitoring the questions in the chat box. Is there anything that we need
Yes.
to or should address before we close out for today?
Well, first of all, we have just been getting shout outs from everybody. They're just so glad to see our faces in 2021. Ray, they are just so grateful that you're on here and they love everything that you've said. Great takeaways. It's been boosting their spirits. So this has been wonderful. There are a few people that have questions for Des specifically. Should they email you, Des?
Yeah, let's get to emailing.
Okay, all right. So if you can email Des.
DSTACK@KHMtravel.com.
And just to end, Don Anderson says, Ray, thank you so much for your kind words and encouragement that you said about travel agents in the Travel Weekly article. You were really dead on in your comment that you saw what we were going through, and it was awesome that you recognized it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're in this together for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, we wrap it up, Carolyn?
Wonderful. Yeah. So as we close out our first episode today of KHM Today, I'd love to leave you with this. And I was watching something with a gentleman by the name of Rabbi Leader yesterday. If you haven't heard of him, he's one of probably the most influential religious leaders in the country. And he said he doesn't like to wish people a happy new year. He likes to wish them a good new year or a meaningful new year, because you can't always control happiness, but you can control goodness, and you can control how meaningful or purposeful you are in life. So I leave you with that as we enter into 2021, a year where we will make good, meaningful, and full of purpose. So have a great day, everyone, and we will see you here next week on KHM Today.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.